What's up, guys? My name is Witty, and today we are going to be talking about 5 mods that are associated with building specifically that I think everyone should at least take a look at and even take advantage of. A couple of these are going to be mods that have been essential for me over the course of the last few weeks, and a couple of them I haven't actually tried out personally yet, so we're going to kind of experience it together, but I do think that from what I have seen in video examples and whatnot, they are all worth checking out. Now, before we do jump into this video completely, this video is going to be sponsored by CMH Palworld. All of the information you guys may need if you're interested in joining is going to be at the top of the description, and I look forward to seeing you guys there. Without further ado, let's get back to the video. All of the mods that we're going to be talking about in today's video are going to be located at NexusMods.com. This is the mod website of my choice. You are able to use CurseForge or maybe some other mod websites as well, but I would always strongly recommend NexusMods because honestly, I've just had the easiest time with it. Now, the first mod that we're going to be talking about is one that we have already spoken of in other videos, and that is less restrictive building. It does allow you to do a lot of different things. Most of them are noted in the mod description, as you can see here. You are able to build floating structures, you're able to build on very steep terrain, which you normally are not able to. You're able to have overlapping bases, overlapping structures. It removes the max building height cap, the number of objects cap for a character. There's all kinds of things that come with this mod. And honestly, one of my favorites is obviously the bases being close together. And that's something you can see here. In the place where I normally record my videos, my bases, there are two side by side. And just to give you a bit of an idea of how close that is, you can't have them directly beside each other. But as you can see, we're able to go maybe 20 meters away and build a second base. And this has a lot of uses, especially if you like building vertically. If you like building up and down, you're able to have a different base on each level of your build, essentially, which allows you to have a level for breeding, a level for farming, and a level for production, for example. And as far as decorations and things of that nature go, under normal circumstances, you're not able to actually stack these benches directly on top of each other to make them look good. But with this mod, you're able to simply stack them directly on top. Now, there are a little bit of issues, as you can see, with this stuff shimmering, but if you are able to simply place a plant on top of it, it's something that you really don't notice. And because of this, I think this makes railings look a lot better if you use the benches as railings and things of that nature. There are just so many little niche things that you can discover with less restrictive building that, again, I think it's a staple for anyone that enjoys building in this game. The second mod we're going to talk about today is another that has become a staple for me personally, and that is the Plaster Wall Texture Swap mod. Now, there are two variants to this mod. You're able to use the more destroyed version, which is the one that I personally prefer, for the extra texture and depth that it provides, but there is also a much cleaner version with more of a solid white background. And I don't know if any of you have ever played Minecraft extensively, but one of my favorite styles to build in on that game was always medieval, and this gives me that vibe, and that is probably why I like it so much. As you can see in some of the example pictures here, it just makes these buildings look so much better, in my opinion, and the colors blend so much better than just the solid wood. There are a lot of things that you can do to improve the looks of your builds with this mod, and it's a very simple one and very light on resources, so I would strongly recommend Plaster Wall Texture Swap as well. Very quickly, we can kind of show what it looks like in-game. It is nighttime, so bear with me a little bit, but if I just throw down a couple foundations and a couple walls here, you should be able to get an idea. We'll go ahead and throw a window and a door as well, just to give you an idea what those look like. It's pretty self-explanatory, but it is a very nice touch for builds. The next mod we're going to talk about is one that you may have seen that comes off as kind of intimidating, and it really isn't that bad. And this mod is called Rotate It, which it sounds like it's just for rotating, but believe me, there are far more uses for this mod. Now, obviously you can see we are able to rotate structures such as the sign in this preview image, but you can also scale structures, and this allows you to create bigger roofs, bigger chests, bigger flowers, whatever you want to make, bigger or smaller. Now, we can rotate plantations. You could even mess with the torches and line them up like this to kind of create an archway. And if you increase the size of them and line them up like this, all of a sudden you have a really cool lighting source for your pathways and things of that nature. So there are a lot of endless things you can do with this. And since this mod is potentially confusing for a lot of people, and the creator, I believe, is Japanese, if not Chinese, don't hate me for that, I'm not 100% sure of the difference. We will go ahead and show you a little bit of what you can do in game. Now, when you've installed this mod, the default hotkey to open the menu is going to be F4. And when you do this, you're going to see a giant thing pop up on the left side of your screen. And it's not very intuitive, but we're going to kind of walk through the basics of this to teach you guys how to use it a little bit in case it's something you're interested in. Now, as you can see, when I hover over this silo at the top left, it does say silo. And once you have the object hovered that you want to actually modify, you're going to hit the F5 key, which is going to display a lock beside that object. And that means that no matter where you look, you're modifying the silo. And that just helps you to not accidentally modify something incorrectly and then get completely stuck. So let's go ahead and go over all of the features. Now, as you can see, just underneath all of these fun numbers, it tells us that to add and minus, add and subtract, it is our up and down arrow keys. Now, these up and down arrow keys are going to be how you actually change the numerical values of the things that you're modifying. As you can see, where the blue highlight on the text is, that is the current thing we are modifying. And this first option is going to be moving objects to the north and south. If we were to use our right arrow key, this will be the east and the west. And if we were to use it again, this will be up and down. Going down to the next line, using the right arrow key, we are going to be looking at rotating structures. Now, the very first one is going to rotate on this axis here. You are going to be going, I believe it is north and south, but obviously it is rotating and not just moving. When you go again, it is going to be the opposite. You are going to be going east and west for rotating. And the last one is simply going to be rotating objects just stationary where they are. So if I accidentally place this silo down in the wrong orientation, I would be able to rotate it to the proper one. Moving on down to scale, this is going to affect, obviously, the size of the object that we're modifying. As you can see, we are able to elongate the structure. And if we were just to go to 2 and move on to the next one where we can adjust the width as well, because otherwise this is going to be a very weird looking silo. We make that 2 and go to the height option and set that to 2 as well. All of a sudden, we have a very tall version of the same silo, and you can understand how this could be useful for something like the silo, where you want a realistic sized one. But not only that, pals would struggle to get on top of a silo this large. There are no pals quite big enough to just jump up there, like they are for the default sized one. Now, the last feature that I'm going to go over specifically myself is the F6, F7 keys at the bottom. As you can see, there is an R key as well. That will simply reset the structure to the size it originally was, or to the location it originally was. If you happen to make a mistake and you're not able to fix it, just simply tap the R key and start over. As far as chandelier mode goes, I'm not 100% sure what this does, as when I hit F6, it does pop up with a chandelier icon at the top left beside silo. But I don't notice a difference. I mean, maybe you guys do, and if you do, please feel free to let me know. But one thing I do know is the F7 lift up mode is something that a lot of people have been begging for in updates. And if you hit this key, as you can see, the transport icon pops up beside the silo. That is how you know you have it selected. And we can simply move the silo somewhere else. And if I want this to be here, I would hit F7 again. And now the silo has been relocated to the other side of my base. This is something that is incredibly useful if you happen to have placed something down wrong. And it's even better if you're reorganizing your base and you wanted something to be on a different side. And I did test this. In case anyone's wondering, it works for that as well. You can move your entire PAL box and the ring moves with it. And honestly, that is such an incredible feature to have added in a mod that I look forward to be experimenting with this mod a lot more in the future for builds and coming up with some crazy stuff. So hopefully this was able to help you understand the mod a little bit better, and let's move on to the next one. The next mod we're going to be talking about is one that I love for decorating your base a little bit if you like nature. Now, this mod is called Tree Mod, and it is an asset swap just like the Plaster Wall mod. As a matter of fact, I believe it's made by the same guy. So essentially what this is going to do is allow us to replace certain objects in the game with trees. And thankfully, the objects that we'll be replacing are, in my opinion, pretty useless anyways, such as the traffic light, the no pal sign, the stop sign, the Iqtadir sign, and the Mamarest sign. Now, to show you what these look like in game, we're going to start with this lovely guy right here, which is, of course, our traffic light. This is a very, very large tree. I don't know how much of a fan I am of these extra little stumps that just seem to lead up. Maybe I'm crazy, but I don't love those. However, this is a great tree if you're interested in building like a treehouse, for example. The second option that we're going to look at is actually these guys here, the little bamboo trees, and this is going to be your No Pals Beyond sign. The third one is this guy here, and that is our stop sign. This is like a giant oak tree, essentially. The next one is actually the trees that are native to the area I'm in, it looks like, and that is our Iqtadir signs. They are essentially like pine trees, just really, really tall ones. And last but not least, our Beware of Mamarest sign, which is this lovely little curved tree here. You can use two of these potentially as like an archway into your base or something. I don't know how this looks, I haven't actually tested it yet, but I didn't line those up perfectly. Just, you know, something like that as like an entranceway into your base would honestly look really, really cool in my opinion. I might have to experiment with using this myself in one of my builds that's going to be coming up, so we'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, that is essentially all there is to know about the tree mod. I just think this is a really great way to decorate your base, and the best part about it is these can be destroyed at any time, just like a normal structure. Now, I did have plans to talk about one other mod in this video, but it seems that they were not actually able to update the mod with the newest patch install for the game. So, what is this guy? Anyways, I was going to include another mod, but unfortunately they haven't kept up to date with the patches, so it is a little broken right now. It's essentially meant to change the wooden features to a more modern look, and it changes the metal features to windows, essentially. And honestly, they look really, really good. I would still recommend you check them out and keep up to date with them just in case they do update. It is this mod here called the Original Stone Concrete Glass Architecture Modern. It's just a spam username, but generally speaking, it's used to make more modern style builds, and it looks incredible when you actually are able to use it. Unfortunately, as you can see, it hasn't been updated in about a week and a half now, so hopefully they're able to get that updated as soon as possible, and I would strongly recommend using it once they do. That being said, though, we're going to go ahead and hop out of here. I hope you guys got some inspiration from one of these, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Peace.